Welcome to the Literature Lounge, where writers and authors share their stories behind their stories. So, hi, in today's episode, we have with us Menstruation, Moon, Men and More, the author Nirmala Nayak, a friend, a former model, beauty pageant winner, avid yoga practitioner based in Bangalore, our city, common city together, a certified counselor, graduate in psychology. She's also a chakra therapist and a tarot reader. I didn't know this about you. I will be coming to you then for doing my tarot readings.
Yes,
Known for a
please.
timeless style, Nirmala promotes holistic wellness through yoga, healthy eating, and sustainable living. She has also volunteered at numerous NGOs, including Belaku Old Age Home and Prasanna Trust, and served as president of Community Services of Bangalore. As a founding member of the World of Women, she has educated women about menstrual health through her book, Rutu Chakra. And we need to understand a little bit more about this in numerous workshops. She also runs Nimmi's Mantra Foundation, dedicated to mental and menstrual health awareness. And like I said, let me repeat once again the name of the book, Menstruation, Moon, Men and More. Oh my God. Welcome to today's podcast, Nimmi, founder of Nimmi's Mantra. And what inspired you to write this book and this absolutely amazing title, Menstruation, Moon, Men and More? The title of your book is very intriguing. So, what does the four M's in the title signify?
First of all, it's pleasure to be here. And I would like to thank Mahua Podcast for inviting me to be part of this wonderful conversation about the great subject called menstruation. Okay, let me briefly explain about experiences which shaped my life before I come to the title. I think it was during my mid 30s. I was seeking answers for many questions about my existence, purpose, marriage, children, and the pain I was going through at that point of time. That is when somewhere I read this famous quote by Gautama Buddha, which said, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. It made a deep impact on me, and I started asking myself, no, I want to go to the bottom of this truth. I want to be a part of the solution and rather than becoming one more problem, not only for me, but also people around me. This led me to the practice of yoga. Disciplined practice of yoga opened a new dimensions in my life. It increased my physical capabilities and mental resilience. Along with yoga, I also started exploring the power of breath, the power of meditation, Ayurveda principles, and many other healing techniques. And I also read books written by eminent gurus like Swami Rama, they are all yogis, Vasant Lad, David Frawley, B.K. Sayengar, and from books written by Bihar School of Yoga. So all these books, I think they experiences became the cornerstone for my book and providing me insights and kind of stories, you know, to share in my between the pages. So this is how I started writing this book, thinking, bringing all these aspects. While having said that, it is not about just understanding myself, healing myself. It was also about understanding the other gender. So all these books also, talked about the karma theory, our connection with the nature and the other gender. So it was very important for me to not hold the victim card, but also understand why the other gender behave the way they are behaving. So then again, coming back to the title, that is how I included the men, I include the menstruation and the cosmic energy, the celestial bodies, all those which helped me, by using all these energies to heal myself. So I decided this can be a very interesting, a wholesome, the aspects for a human being to explore oneself when it comes to menstrual health also.
Amazing, amazing. So, your book features a variety of very intriguing chapters. So, could you share how you structured these different sections and what are the challenges you faced during the writing process? Because it title itself is so quirky, and one doesn't know what to expect. So tell me a little bit about the entire process of putting the book together.
It was not that difficult. It was I structured and divided in such a way that each chapter, focused on different aspects of menstruation, or different phases of menstruation, so that a reader who has no knowledge about menstruation, or a reader who knows something but wants to go in depth, for both kind, it has to be relatable and it has to flow in a rhythmic pattern. So to begin with, I started with the biological aspect. Once the reader starts understanding what is this reproductive system, I slowly wanted the reader to open their mind to what next? What is there for me to explore? That is the kind of a curiosity I wanted to build through these chapters. So that is why I included seasons, I included the moon phases, I
Yeah.
include the social aspect, the rituals, mythology, emotional aspect. All these things is a kind of a wholesome food for the body, mind, and the soul.
So let's just talk about puberty, parents, and periods, which are very crucial, and what role do you think parents play in this context, considering that, many times in many homes, fathers and brothers are discouraged, from even having a conversation on the dining table about periods. It's only now, I mean, we come from a generation where we were told to cover our sanitary napkins in black dustbin covers. So, we thought that this was such a taboo. So, can you just share a little bit, for our listeners, that what is it that they need to do different?
I'm glad you asked me this question. I, Parents, they are the first connection to the child, right? You agree with me? So they must start, the conversation, the playful talks with the girl as early as 6 or 7 years. You must be wondering why such an early age. These days, the girls are reaching menarche around 8 or 9 years. So there is never too early. So, and the conversation had to be very non intimidating, and also it should be in a playful manner when both are exchanging household activities, or maybe when they're going for a walk, something like that. So the mother, she can take her own example, what all went through when she was going through puberty, and what are the changes happened, how the hormones variations really play a kind of a variations in her body, psychologically and physiologically. So she need to start this conversation, and she can take some examples from the birds, bees, and the pets, to make it more relatable. And also, she can gift age appropriate books with beautiful illustrations, can be really enlightening. Having said that, the father's role is very, very crucial. He's also equally important to be a part of this conversation, because emotionally available father at different stages of her milestone will shape her, personality, will bring a positive personality, and also boost her self-esteem and self-worth. So this is very important. He is the cheerleader in her life, and if he's making the conversation around this menstrual health, in the patriarchal society especially, if he's normalizing this conversation inside the house, the child, when she grows up, she will not get intimidated when she steps out and she is on her own working, with the other men or with the other successful women. She will know where to draw the boundaries, and she knows her mind, and she learn to say no to many things, and she will not get into any kind of a competitive mode, and she will make place for herself, and she will choose something which she is passionate about, and she'll make a success out of that, and she'll be happy, and she'll be a successful human being. Finally, that is what counts at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely, Nirmala. I mean, this is such a topic that's so close to my heart because I think that fathers are not yet being told about the kind of huge impact they have in the lives of the children, and they're just seen only as financial providers and nothing more. And the kind of emotional impact that a child can have in their future years going ahead is phenomenal. And I have a lot to talk about it, but I will not move away from our subject. Let's talk a little bit about the myths, mythology, and taboos. That sounds like a really deep dive. Can you elaborate further? I know that in Nepal, even today, that girls, when they menstruate, they're actually put away in a room that's outside the house. So there's so much of awareness that's required in this space. Could you tell a little bit more about this space?
Okay, see, our ancestors, they knew the working of the body and mind in accordance with the natural rhythm of the seasons, cosmic energies, celestial bodies. They were very far-sighted, and they were seeking answers from the Mother Earth. And they created rituals around it so that whatever, whether it is the birth, death, or the puberty or the menopause, or health or travel, you whatever you take, and menstruation was no exception. So they created rituals for the benefit of the society. And then, so they, over the years, the sad part is they were not documented. Why, in what way these rituals were benefiting, and how they were able to find answers for many questions, and how they thrived, both the genders, understanding the value of the both masculine and the feminine energy. So these things were not documented, and nowadays everyone, the younger generation, everything they want evidence. But sadly, there was no evidence. There was only verbal communication, which was passed on from generation to generation. So these myths, what we call, there is a very blurred line between the myths and the reality, since it was not documented. So you can't say, whatever our ancestors were did completely wrong. Like you mentioned, in Nepal, or maybe in some of the villages in India also.
Yes.
See, it is very important. In those days, women were doing lot of work. They were taking care of so many aspects: cooking, cleaning, fetching water, so many things. And they were lived in a huge family structure. So in those days, whether it was a man of the family or the women of the family, very wise human being, he or she decided that why women as a slog, even those days, let them take rest. That rest which was meant to for her to recoup. And the house used to be huge, and then they had a separate room because managing menstruation was not all that great. They used to use the rags, they were the leakages, the stains. It was not embarrassing for others, for her also. So her movements were restricted.
Correct.
There are many theories, but what I've understood, what I've read, you know, so this is what I've, came across and realized that this was done for a reason, keeping her health in mind. Like I said, over the years, some ignorant mind, you know, uh, they didn't know what was the science behind it, what was the logic behind this. So they started, spreading some kind of false narrative around these menstrual practices. Having said, we must also not forget the history of our country. We were ruled by invaders. We lost many rituals, scientific, I'm sure you will agree with me, scientific based rituals, which were mocked, especially during the colonization. They were mocked at. And many of them who were, supporting the Britishers, they also moved conveniently, they moved away from the scientific based rituals. And
I agree with
this
you fully on that.
we
I
lost the
do.
connection
Oh, yeah,
between the.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. So there's a considerable amount of debate, Nirmala, on discussion surrounding the practice of yoga during menstruation. I remember as a child, when I got, my periods, my mother used to not let me play. She used to say, now you've become a grown-up girl. And she used to give me, during our times, we had these little toys that they put together. And I used to play kitchen, or I used to play like, I'm cooking imaginary things inside those little toys that we had. But she really discouraged me from, doing any sort of a physical activity during those 4 days. And that continued to stay with me. And
Mm.
I became a mother of a son, so I didn't go through these entire changes, of teaching something different for my child. But I'd really like to know from your perspective, having been, over 3 decades of having been a yoga practitioner, is it advisable to really do yoga during menstruation?
Yes and no. I belong to Iyengar School of Yoga. So my
Okay.
guru never discouraged from doing yoga, but only restive poses, what we call moon poses or the feminine poses. Never the strenuous sun salutation, hatha
Yeah.
yoga, power yoga, never. And the headstands, inversions, no, because during that time, I'm sure you know about this, the estrogen is low.
Yeah.
So either you have to support your body, not go against your body. So anyway,
Absolutely.
how many days are you going to menstruate in a month? Is it 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days?
Yeah.
Okay, those days, many experts they compare this process to miniature prenatal.
Mm.
Okay, so that calls for taking care of your body through nourishing food with a nourishing physical movement, very slow movement. They can go for a regular walk. They can do rhythmic, dance movements, but nothing strenuous. So this aspect has to be ingrained because this topic attracts a lot of arguments and debates. But from my perspective, I would definitely say stick to the rescue poses and see how it supports your body. And and also one more thing. All these phases, the 4 phases of menstrual cycle, they're all interconnected. So the rest you give and the nourishing food you provide, it is going to carry on to the next cycle. So, what is the best? The viewer who is listening to it, they have to decide for themselves.
So, in your book, Nirmala, you call the menstrual cycle the great menstrual cycle because of the good it bestows on women. And yet, many think that it's a curse, it's a pain they have to deal with every month. And it isn't easy, for working women. I mean, times have changed today, and there are women who are catching buses, they're catching public transport to go in, and sometimes the periods can be very, very heavy. So, there's a lot of drama and frustration. And within homes, very casually, I've also been there where, there are terms that they say, oh, she's PMSing, this whole premenstrual syndrome that people talk about, because your moods probably are not at its best. And I know for sure that there were times I used to get very frustrated, very angry. I was quick to temper, but after reading about it, I was truly enlightened to discover how powerful and insightful this time of the month can be. Could you elaborate more on this fascinating phase, because PMS is used so casually as a word? Nirmala, please throw light on this.
Glad you asked me this because this is very relevant. And this PMS came from the Western media. It is not was not exist in the Indian context. Ayurveda never believed any phases as a normal or abnormal. It said, your hormones are low, so you better take care of it. Okay. And what you have to do through food, through rest, or through certain kind of movements, you can get over this kind of symptoms. It always focusing on the root cause. So having said that, first I would like to bring the attention to the two major sexual hormones called estrogen and the progesterone. They are
Yes.
always fluctuating. Okay. During the first phase, that is during the bleeding phase, it is low. It's the lowest. And the second phase, that is the follicular phase, it starts rising. Okay. And during the ovulation phase, it peaks. And again, during the luteal phase, it crashes down. Why? Because it was waiting for the probable pregnancy and it didn't happen. So the peace-loving progesterone, it comes down. So what are you supposed to do when the hormones are not on your side? Are you going to go against your hormones? Are you going to support your hormones through certain activities, a certain food, or certain kind of a ritual? So you mentioned insightful, because this is the time. See, during the follicular and the ovulation period, she's out all day. She's conquering the world. She's the superwoman. Whereas in the luteal phase, it says, now it is enough. Now come back and connect with your feminine energy. That is what is the womb is asking for. And this is the time to reflect on all the things which went right and all the things we didn't go right. And this is also a period to do something for the less privileged. And this is also the time to be kind to yourself, to get into a self-care practices, and also pursue your what you're passionate about, your hobbies, or whatever you wanted to do it, but you didn't have time. And also, this is also the time to draw the boundary. It's not only within the family members, but also the outsiders. You can learn to say no. And this is where, and also practicing the vaginal steaming, and going for a hiking, swimming, cycling. All these things will definitely help her to connect with herself in a deeper level. So that is what the luteal phase is about. And if she takes care of this phase, and the next phase is almost, looking the bleeding phase, it will be smooth and she will have a happy periods. And she will thank herself for taking care of her needs first and then putting herself first so that she can enjoy the happy periods in the next phase.
Amazing, Nirmala. My God, this is so insightful. Thank you so much for sharing so much of light. Let's just talk a little bit about the changing seasons that influence menstruation and what significance does this connection hold, for understanding our bodies, our cycles more deeply, because there's so much of confusion there. So, can a deeper understanding of this connection empower us to predict, manage, and support our menstrual health through lifestyle choices? Because lifestyle choices are becoming day by day a very, very debatable topic, because things are available at the click of a button. We are all constantly using our Zomato, and we are using everything that's available. We are not cooking our food as we used to do in the past, from grinding your masalas in the I remember in my home there was no mixie when I was growing up. There was only in Bengali homes we have sheel pata, and in the seal, we used to grind the masalas, and that food tasted different. And there was also this whole exercise of the arm, your body. So all of that has changed, and one can't deny these changes, right? So tell me a little bit about how is it that our listeners who are listening to us right now should understand about the influence of the seasons, and the way we work, and the way the choices that we've taken today in life, how does it impact our cycles?
This is my favorite topic, and I'm glad you asked me this question. I've been conducting workshop on based on the seasons. See, we are in this era of chasing goals, reaching targets, to become that CEO of a company, or to be that director of a firm, or to be that successful entrepreneur. It goes on. So you might be wondering, what is wrong in pursuing this interest? Definitely, there is nothing inherently wrong in pursuing our passions. But what is wrong here is why, and before that, why we are going through so many menstrual and mental health issues. Because we are getting caught in the material goals. And conveniently, we are moving away from our source, that is the Mother Earth, where we are coming from and how we are connected to the nature. So this is where the seasons, comes to help. What is the seasons teaching us? Each phase comes to teach us that this is all you can do, and this is all you can expect. You can't do much more than that. So there are seasons you will be overactive. There are seasons you will be underactive. Doesn't mean that you are not productive at all. because inside there is work going on. Unless you build within, okay, and then you can't bring this it outside. If you are seeking only the outside material goals, then what about the inside? Somewhere at some point it will crumble. So that is where many experts have, they've kind of brought that connection between the seasons and the four menstrual phases, the 28-day cycle, the four seasons, the winter, spring, summer, and the fall or the monsoon. Obviously, the first, the phase in a women's cycle is the bleeding phase. The second is the follicular. The third is the ovulation. The fourth is the luteal phase. The bleeding phase is compared to the winter phase. During winter, what do? There is a less active. And the winter calls for kind of a hibernating period. It says now, you can't do much. Even the earth goes a transformation. It also lies low. And we don't do any kind of a trimming or feeding the fertilizer. We don't do any of those things. Likewise, even in a woman's that bleeding phase, there is something going on inside. She's bleeding, she's shedding. So it calls for a deeper insight. To she's like a buried in the like a seed. She's buried. So she has to wait for the next seasons to come. So this is the winter time where her intuition level is high. So she has to connect with her feminine energy. They say she herself is the goddess during the bleeding time. So if she, takes care of it consciously, if she connects and she talks less and she nourishes her body, nourishes her mind. I'm not saying, be at home or, lie on the couch. No, you can get on with your regular work. You can be a working lady. You'll have children, but you can make sure to convey this message to the other people, whether in the workplace or in the house, to tell them that what she's going through. She can talk less and she can focus inside her with her soul. And then comes and gradually this will help her to open up. What is spring, by the way? It is all about blooming,
Yes,
right?
it
We
is.
see greenery all the time. So she has to wait for the spring phase. So that is when, the planning starts. The spring and the ovulation phase are the two phases she can bring out her masculine energy. And she can say, yes, I want to be there 100%. Yes, she should be there. She should plan, she should connect with people, she should call people, she can take up all the projects. And then comes the ovulation. That is a summer period. It is the estrogen, it peaks. And then this is the time she has to build bridges, she has to make contacts, and she has to have all the important meetings. She has to start all the important projects because she is her whole body, her whole mind is open to all the possibilities. That powerful it is. So the summer, there is a sun out there and she's ready to conquer the world. She's at the stage where she can call herself, I am the superhuman. Tell me what to do. She can give more than 100%. And this is what summer is all about. And then comes the monsoon or the fall. Like every season brings something and it takes something, right? Like I mentioned earlier in the previous question, the luteal phase. Then, if there is no fertilization happening or if there is no pregnancy happening, then the hormones crashes down. So that is when then the like a fall monsoon. It doesn't say that I'm coming, I'm going to flow like this. It comes and it will create a lot of it will kind of a devastating situations. She should be prepared and she should make all the necessary changes so that she can look forward for this phase and she will not go through whatever we call it the symptoms, the PMS. She will not. If she's consciously working on the summer phase and she slows down and then she say, yes, this is the period, this is the phase. which says that I need to focus on myself and also do something for others. This is the beauty of the correlation between the season and the menstrual phases.
Amazing. Oh my God, Nirmala, what made me wait for so long to get you here? This is the most insightful podcast I've ever had actually on menstrual health. Kudos to the kind of research that you have done and associated it with our own culture and our heritage. So, what kind of food should one have during menstruation? I remember I used to keep running to have chocolates. And then I was told that probably there would be a lack of magnesium in your body, and that's why you're probably seeking this. And of course, I mean, now I don't have my periods any longer, but I just want to check with you that you also talk about Go Green, which promotes sustainability. What eco friendly menstrual ways do you recommend, and what is the kind of food do you recommend, Nirmala?
The food, obviously, it is sattvic food. Experts, Ayurveda also recommends sattvic food and also the root vegetables and
Okay.
nothing cold, nothing, no cold beverages, only hot soup because it's a winter time. And Ayurveda says it's a Vata time. Vata times calls for to include berries, include warm food, include soups and stews, whether it's veg or non-veg, it's all right, and also include ghee and sesame seed oil. So all these things definitely it will improve the our immunity level and also improve the gut the functioning. And you mentioned about the Go Green, right? So we have only planet A. There is no planet B. It is about not only thinking about self; it is also about thinking about the Mother Earth. This is the ecosystem we have within our body and the ecosystem outside our body. Whatever we do in life, it's not just about the kind of menstrual products we use, but also about the various other things. I think it's time, we need to be conscious about what we are using. In the chapter Go Green, I've clearly mentioned the types of menstrual products available. For example, biodegradable, pads, sustainable pads, and cups. I never got to use that. And
Me too.
panties. This is suppose if the lady is working from home, she can use the period panties. It can be reusable, right? And likewise, the cotton pads. If she's at home, she can, aram se she can use the reusable. And if she's traveling, she can go for the what is it, biodegradable disposable pads. So there are various methods to manage their menstruation. The market is flooded with varieties,
Yes,
and they
it
have to
is.
be aware of it.
Yeah, truly there is, and there's lovely awareness, and we have a lot of men actually who've started these brands, which is so encouraging, Nirmala. So, according to the National Family Health Survey, there are 335 million menstruating women in India, and 70%, I repeat again for our listeners, 70% of them cannot afford sanitary napkins due to the high cost. So, what steps can we as a society take to address this issue and make menstrual hygiene products more accessible, for people who can't afford to buy this?
See, under Pradhana Mantri Yojana scheme, they are providing biodegradable pads. Um, I think it is 1 rupee per head in the
Okay.
designated centers. So I think maybe the schools, the government schools or the Anganwadis, they are the ones will be able to reach out to the women and girls below the poverty line. And also back home, here in Karnataka, they're distributing free menstrual pads, again biodegradable, through the Anganwadi centers. And also there are many NGOs who are doing, commendable work in this area. But considering, we have such a huge population, whatever you do, it is not enough. But
Mm.
through your podcast, I would like to, urge all the donors and the philanthropists to come forward, and I'm also part of the WAB where we do many menstrual health workshop and also distribute free sanitary pads. Please come and join us and then help us, so that we can reach out to more women and girls. so that she can have a safe and happy periods, and her life will be in future. She can thrive in a beautiful, um, uh, grow into a beautiful human being. So that is what I urge people to come forward to help.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Nirmala. And kudos for the work that you do. You've conducted various programs and workshops, related to this awareness. Can you share any experience from your workshop that has really stayed back with you and has touched your heart? Would you like to talk
See,
about it?
whether it was a village setup or the slums or government schools, the people were little hesitant to come and talk to me openly, though it was only the women and girls were there. But they were very happy to connect after the program. The main concern was about the pain. I assume it is mainly to do with the nutritional factor.
Okay,
Because they see the even though they are provided with the midday meals, they need to be educated. The mothers especially need to be aware, need to be educated about in the kind of local food. Very simple local food. It can be millets. It can be locally available. The fruits and vegetables. So I'm sure once that nutrition aspect is taken care of, their pain automatically it comes down. And also, I've written a book, Rutu Chakra, and we have translated in Kannada and Hindi. And we distribute nearly 15,000 copies in North India, the Hindi version. And I got a fantastic feedback. Many girls who were very shy, very fearful, confused about the whole phenomena, and they were very happy after reading this. And they have sent messages through our YFS, our NGO partner, that they were so happy to get this education material. I think books makes a lot of difference.
yeah,
We
it
need
does.
to bring out more books on these kind of issues. I think.
What advice would you like to give girls and boys about menstruation and self care?
Do you think they need the advice? Definitely not. They need guidance. I feel they
Yeah,
need guidance, and they need to be, our generation. We have a responsibility to provide them the right information about
correct.
about our history, about myths and taboos. We just touched, those topics. And I would like to recommend them to read a book written by Sinu Joseph and Nitin Sridhar, which I mentioned in my book. So that it is a kind of a huge revelation for any youngsters who wants to know more about, what is it about, why this was a kind of a taboo. And when they read, they will realize it was not a taboo, it was not a myth, it was kind of a, scientifically backed, it was logical in those days. And there are many rituals even today we can connect and also bring a change in our menstrual health. See, I strongly feel that menstrual health and mental health are both are connected. So if you take care and if you enjoy happy periods, definitely you can enjoy good mental health. Having said that, even we have to make this conversation not only in the schools, not only in the corporate bodies, but also at the ministerial level. They should make documentaries related to menstrual health awareness. See, we have documentary about cancer awareness, about smoking, diabetes, so many others. Why not about menstruation? I would like to add about menopause also. These days, I know women are also having a lot of confusion about that. So,
Yes.
making documentaries and screening them in all the theaters and wherever it is possible will bring a sea of change, and they will not be grappling with the fears or confusion and going back asking the same question why it was a taboo, why there was a stigma, and they will have otherwise we lost one more generation, because of the ignorance, because lack of communication or inclusivity.
But I think, Nirmala, when you talk about menopause, I mean, I have an opinion here where I think women are generally looked at, with value till the time they can procreate and they can have children. So the minute menopause happens, the desirability of a woman reduces, and accordingly women feel very shy to talk about their menopause. They're not open to talk about this part of life where it is also another natural phenomena. And this is not being discussed enough, and me too, through all my writings I try and discuss this lot more openly, that we are more than just only procreating. There's so much more within us. But now let's just change the focus to you, Nirmala. What are your future projects that you have, with your foundation and your work?
See, I'm in this charity field from more than 3 decades. I will continue to do the same work, emphasizing more on the menstrual health and the mental health workshop. Those who are interested in our efforts, they are welcome to join me. And I'm also trying to finish my other book, Menopause, which you just
Oh,
spoke about.
wow.
Yes. And I'm
Wonderful.
planning to release it as soon as possible.
Oh, congratulations. We will wait, for your book. And thank you so much, Nirmala, for being on today's podcast. And look forward to having another conversation with you on menopause, a topic very, very close to my heart. And the book is, once again, for our listeners, Menstruation, Moon, Men, and More. Thank you, Nirmala, for being in today's podcast.
Thank you, Mohan. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.